All right, let's get right into it. AI agents are starting to automate more and more of our work, which is honestly incredible. But with all that power comes a huge security question. How do we actually control these things? Today, we're going to look at an open source tool called SecureClaw that has a really fascinating two-layer approach to solving this exact problem.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll unpack the big security gap that AI agents create. Then, we'll introduce SecureClaw and dive into the details of its super clever two-layer defense. We'll also look at its systematic auditing, talk about why performance is a critical factor that most people miss, and finally, see what makes this tool genuinely ready for the enterprise.
Okay, so let's start with the core of the problem. As AI agents get more and more powerful, they're creating this whole new risk frontier that our traditional security models just were not built to handle. I mean, think about it for a second. These agents aren't just little chatbots anymore. We're connecting them to our actual files, our external services, our work tools, the whole shebang. And this automation is incredibly powerful, but it immediately brings up some serious questions, right? What can an agent access? What is it allowed to change? And maybe the scariest one, how on earth do you even detect when it's going rogue?
This quote from Alex Polyakov, one of the co-founders of Adversa AI, really just hits the nail on the head. He points out that the security landscape for these agents right now is, well, it's fragmented. You've got these tools that solve one little piece of the puzzle. Maybe they validate inputs or try to prevent data loss, but they're all point solutions. They aren't looking at the big picture.
And that is the exact gap that SecureClaw was built to fill. So let's introduce it properly. It's designed to be a fully integrated open source solution. So what is it really? At its core, SecureClaw is an open source project from the team at Adversa AI. And its whole job is to add this really robust layer of security auditing and rule-based controls right into any environment that uses OpenClaw, which, by the way, is a super popular framework for building these autonomous AI agents. Now, this isn't just one single piece of software. It's a whole system with two distinct parts working hand in hand. First up, you have a plugin. This thing digs right into the OpenClaw framework itself to do deep code-level auditing. And second, you have what's called a skill. And you can just think of that as a smart set of instructions that runs alongside the agent, guiding its behavior in real time. And that combination of a plugin and a skill is what creates SecureClaw's biggest advantage, its two-layer defense. This is where the architecture gets really, really clever. So to really get why this matters, you first have to understand a key vulnerability called prompt injection. This is a type of attack where a cleverly written input can basically trick an AI agent into completely ignoring its original instructions. And that includes its security rules. It's kind of like telling a guard dog to just ignore intruders. It's bad news. This slide just lays it all out perfectly. The problem with so many other tools is that if your security is just a skill, which is basically a long set of text instructions, it lives in the agent's context window, which is super vulnerable. A clever prompt injection can just wipe it out. But SecureClaw's approach is fundamentally different. The real hardening, the core security, is enforced by that code-level plugin, and that cannot be overridden by a prompt. It's a layered, resilient defense, not just a single point of failure. Here's a really great way to think about it. The plugin is like reinforcing the steel walls and locking the doors of your high-tech facility. It's structural. It's fundamental. The skill, on the other hand, is like giving the security guard who's already inside a much smarter, more efficient rulebook to follow. You absolutely need both. One without the other just doesn't cut it. So, we've seen the brilliant architecture. But now, let's look at what makes this tool so thorough in practice. Because it's not just about the structure, it's about being comprehensive by design, and that starts with systematic auditing. And here's where you really see the depth of its analysis. SecureClaw runs a battery of 55 different automated audit checks. This means it's not just guessing or spot checking, it is systematically scanning your entire OpenClaw setup for a huge range of known security issues. And this isn't random either. The whole system is designed to address the full attack surface, and it's been meticulously mapped to all of the top 10 threats identified by OWASP, a leading authority in app security. And it doesn't just find problems, it actually gives you modules to fix them, and the command line tools to get it all done. And remember that behavioral skill we talked about? Well, it's not just one big prompt. It's actually this sophisticated little package of 15 distinct behavioral rules. And those are supported by 9 different scripts and 4 pattern databases just for detecting threats. It's a really finely tuned control mechanism.
All right, let's switch gears to a topic that people often overlook, but is absolutely crucial: performance. Because, believe it or not, there is a hidden cost to AI security.
I love this quote from Alex Polyakov because it zeroes in on a subtle but hugely important technical detail: context window optimization. See, it's really easy to just throw a bunch of security rules into a prompt and call it a day, but that simple approach can backfire badly. Here's exactly why just stuffing security rules into a giant prompt is such a terrible idea. First, large language models can literally forget instructions that came way at the beginning of a long prompt. It's called lost focus. Second, every single bit of space you use for security is space the agent can't use for its real job. And third, it's pretty simple. Longer prompts mean higher API costs and slower responses, every single time.
And this is SecureClaw's elegant answer to that problem. The team completely obsessed over this, and they optimized their entire security skill down to a super lean 1,150 tokens. This directly solves all 3 of those problems we just saw. It lowers cost, it increases speed, and, most importantly, it makes sure the AI model actually remembers and follows the security rules in the first place.
So finally, let's talk about the big picture. All of these features, the 2-layer defense, the deep auditing, the optimized performance, it all comes together to make SecureClaw a tool that is truly ready for the enterprise, capable of meeting some pretty serious compliance and risk requirements. And the context here is everything. With OpenAI acquiring the company behind OpenClaw, you can bet that its adoption in big companies is about to skyrocket. And that means the demand for robust, enterprise-grade security for it is about to explode. And SecureClaw is built for this exact moment. It has formal mappings to the MITRE Atlas framework, which, security teams live and breathe. It includes the threat modeling documents and compliance artifacts that they absolutely need for their risk assessments. This isn't just another developer tool. It's a professional security solution. So we'll end on this thought. These AI agents are moving from being cool experiments to being essential business tools at an incredible speed. The real question isn't if you need a security strategy for them, but whether the one you're building is resilient, comprehensive, and performant enough for what's coming right around the corner. Is it keeping up?